Welcome to today's live training Lightroom for photographers. And today we are going to take this portrait image and we are going to edit this image. So let's get started. Let me first check whether I am live streaming or not. And yes, I am fine. I'm live now. And let's start. First of all, editing this image. So we need to be on the develop module. So if you are on the library module, make sure you are on the develop module by clicking on this option, or you can simply press D on your keyboard. Okay, and now we have all the editing options over here. So first of all, we'll go for the auto, and since it is a raw image, most of the time it gives the perfect result, but sometimes it doesn't. Okay, so as you can see now, let's increase a contrast on this image a little bit and bring down the highlights so that we get some details over here on the face. And let's increase the shadows so we get some dynamic range over here, and let's increase the clarity, something like this, not way too much because that is going to just ruin the skin tone. Okay, and increase the vibrance a little bit and saturation a bit. Okay, and now come down on the sharpening panel. Let's zoom in and press Alt or Option and click and drag this masking slider until we see the edges of the child. Okay, and that way we are restricting the sharpening only on the edges and not everywhere. Okay, and now we can increase its slider, this amount slider, so we can decide how much sharpening we want. If we go way too much at 150, as you can see, it has ruined the image, which we don't want, so we'll bring it down over here, and now it's looking good. Okay, and it is always suggested that you zoom in 100% to see the result while sharpening using this details panel. Okay, and let's increase the noise reduction a little bit, though there is no noise available, but if there is any grain, it is going to take care of that. So make sure the noise reduction is only the smaller number. Okay, and let's click the lens correction option, so it is going to remove any chromatic aberration if there is any. Let me see. Yes, okay, there is no any chromatic aberration on the edges. It's simply a purple kind of a fringe or sometimes a green fringe, as you can see over here. And if it is not removed automatically, then you can come to the manual mode, and from this slider you can click and select this color. So we can select this green color and this one. Okay, and we can increase this amount, and it is going to remove that from the edges. Okay, and now let's come to the profile, back to the profile, and select this enable profile correction. Okay, and now you can see it has automatically corrected the distortion on the face over here. Okay, but it has even made it little more brighter, and it has increased its exposure. So we are going to bring that exposure back, maybe something like this, because we don't want this image to be that lighter. Okay, and let's try to bring down the contrast a bit also. Okay, and now it's looking good. And what we can do, we can add some vignette effect if we want, but we are not going to do that. Okay, leave it as it is, and now we'll work on the. Okay, so first of all, we are going to remove all these blemishes. So for this purpose, we will take the spot removal tool from here, or you can simply press Q on your keyboard. Okay, and let's paint in over here to remove this spot, and paint little bit over here, and it is going to remove it as well. And let's try this one, and yes, this one is fixed. And over here on the face, as you can see, it's quite dirty. And over here, and this spot healing brush or the tool is quite slow comparably with the Photoshop, because in Photoshop it works very fast. So most of the time I do this cleaning work in Photoshop, but in this tutorial we are just focusing on the Lightroom only. So that's why I'm using the Lightroom to remove these spots. Okay, and increase the size of the brush if you want by pressing right bracket or left bracket. Okay, and it has fixed it. So let's paint a little bit over here. I can see some spot over here and over here as well, and little bit over here, and I think now it's fine. So we'll press done. Okay, so you can see now we have removed all these blemishes, and now let's retouch the skin in the Lightroom itself. So for this purpose we are going to smooth out the skin, and for that purpose we'll take the adjustment brush, which you can have the access by clicking this icon, or you can simply press K on your keyboard. Okay, and now what we are going to do, basically we'll press Alt, and the moment we'll Alt, it is going to set it. Just a minute. So we'll double click it and just reset everything, and we'll bring down the clarity and even the sharpness, something like -36, 38. Okay, and we'll increase the size of the brush, and we will paint on the face. And make sure you press the auto mask, and that way it will not paint on the edges. Okay, so it is going to protect the edges, and we will keep on painting, and wherever we are going to paint, it is going to smoothen out the skin. And if you want more results, then you can bring down the clarity even further, and the more you will bring down the clarity, more skin would be smoothened. And you can even experiment with the sharpness as well. So you can bring down the sharpness, and it is going to fix it. And as you can see right here on the chin or over here, wherever I am painting, it is smoothening this skin. Okay, and press space to have the access to hand tool, and then you click and drag above to have the access to the area or the part of the face where you want to paint, or you can simply use this navigator. Okay, you can do that as well if you want, but spacebar is quite convenient because my hands are on the keyboard, so that saves a little bit time. Okay, rather than taking the mouse over here and adjusting that. So you can do whatever or whichever way you like, but I like it this way. That actually speeds up the process. Okay, so these keyboard shortcuts are really helpful, and they saves a lot more time. Okay, and let's paint over here as well on the ear. And we are not going way too much, because that would make the skin look plastic, and that's exactly I don't want. Okay, so I think this one is fine, and press done. Once you are happy, you can press done. Alright, now we have smoothened out the skin, and if you want, you can paint even on the hands, but there is no need. They are already blurred and they are out of focus, so we don't need to smoothen them out. All right, and now let's edit the eyes and increase the sharpness and the life or the details in the eyes. So again, we'll take the adjustment brush from here, and this time we'll increase the clarity and even the sharpness, plus we'll increase the exposure a little bit. And now we'll make the size of the brush smaller, and we are going to paint on the face, or sorry, on the eyes, or over here wherever there are these highlights. Okay, and even over here and little bit over here. Okay, and if you want, you can experiment with these exposure sliders, and that's gonna give you some more results. And you can even increase the contrast, and that way the eyes would look more beautiful. Okay, and let me increase or bring down it something like this, and press done. Okay, and now as you can see, the eyes are looking way better. And if you want to change the color of the eyes, then you can also do that by going to the adjustment brush again and selecting this eye pin. And as you can see, if I hover over my mouse over this pin, it is going to show me the mask that where on which part we have painted. And now I can adjust its temperature, so I can take it towards the blue side to make the color of the eyes blue, or I can drag it towards the brighter or the warmer side to make it look like yellow or maybe something like red. Okay, but I would prefer to have the blue eyes. All right, or you can bring down to have the green eyes as well, but I prefer the blue eye little bit. And you don't have to be go overboard, because that would look fake and that would not look realistic. So little bit effect is always good. Okay, and this is the result which we have got. So we'll press done, and now we have edited the eyes. And now let's add little bit of light from this side using the gradient tool. So we'll go for the graduated filter tool, and it's called gradient tool in the Photoshop. And most of the time I work in Photoshop, so I have a habit of calling it as gradient tool. Okay, but the tool is same, only name is different. Okay, so I have selected this, and now I'll click and drag it towards the child. Okay, and it is going to create a gradient. Okay, and again we have the same adjustment option, so we can bring down the clarity and we can increase the exposure, so we get more lights from this side, and we can adjust its temperature. So I want to have a warmer look, so I'll drag this temperature towards the warmer side, and I can even add little bit of magenta to it, so give it more red look. And I can bring down the exposure maybe something like this, and let's drag it the temperature even further. Okay, and you can rotate it as well, something like this. Okay, and let's increase the contrast, how it looks. Yes, and let's add more red or the magenta color, and bring down the sharpness, increase the saturation, maybe something like this. Okay, and let's create one more gradient. So we'll select on the new, and this time we are clicking and dragging it up from this side, and we are going to bring down its exposure. Okay, something like this, so that we want this area to be little darker, because sun is over here and light is coming from this side, so we want this area to be little lighter. Okay, and let's increase the contrast. Okay, right? And let's take the adjustment brush, and this time I'm going to add a little bit more warmer tone on the face. Okay, so I'll increase its size and I'm going to paint again on the face of the child. Okay, something like this. And don't worry if it is making it too bright or if it is not looking good at this moment, because it is using the last settings which we have used. Okay, but we can adjust it. So we'll bring down the exposure back to its original position. So if we'll just double click it, it is going to bring this slider back to its original position. Okay, and increase, double click on the clarity as well, and sharpness, so everything is on its default position. And now let's increase the warmer tone, or this warmer slider, temperature slider, and let's add a little bit more magenta, and that way we are going to have little bit more warmer skin tone. All right, and press done when you are happy. Okay, and you can see the difference. Okay, and let me just quickly show you what was before and after. So if I just press backslash, it is going to show me the before, and this is after. Okay, and we can even still make little bit more adjustment to this. So we can paint with the brush tool, and we are going to paint on the background this time. So we'll increase it and we will paint it over here, and we are going to make this area little darker. Okay, so we'll bring down the exposure, something like this, and we'll bring down the temperature. So we'll make it little bit bluish, or the cooler tone, and that way it is going to create a contrast between this warmer tone and the cooler tone, and that would look little bit more good. Okay, and if you want, you can even adjust it further, and you can add green to it as well, increase the contrast. Okay, but I'm not going to increase the contrast too much, and bring down the clarity because I don't want the clarity over here, and sharpness as well. And I feel let's add little bit more darker gradient over here. So we'll press done, and we'll again go to the graduated filter tool, or we can simply press M, or we can click on this icon, and now we'll click and drag it over here, and we'll bring down its exposure, something like this. Okay, and bring double click on the clarity slider and the sharpness as well, because we don't want the sharpness over here, and add the blue temperature. Okay, and now this one is little darker, and now it's looking good. And let's create one more from this side, because we want this area to be little darker. Okay, so we'll click and drag it up to here, and we will just bring down the exposure little bit more, and let's see, drag it even further, something like this, and its contrast, so it gets little contrasty from this side. And let's add the temperature, warmer temperature. All right, and press done. Okay, and you can see now our image is ready. We have done the editing, and if you feel that it is over saturated, or the saturation is little much or overdone the saturation, then you can bring down its saturation little bit from here. Okay, but I like the saturated colors, so that's why I have added so much of saturation to this. Okay, so let me just quickly show you the before and after. So this is before and this is after. Okay, I hope you have liked it and I hope you have learned something from this tutorial, and if you do, please section, and if you like it, please don't forget to hit the like button, and please do subscribe to my channel for more videos, and subscribing is absolutely free. So if you will subscribe, you will not miss any new video from my channel. So thank you so much. Bye bye.